On September 13th, law enforcement announced that escaped convict Danilo Cavalcante was captured after 2 weeks on the run in a manhunt, which captured media attention. Earlier this spring, another inmate at the same facility tried to break out in the same way as Cavalcante, but was caught only a few minutes after his escape. Prison officials added barbed wire to the roof area, but that apparently hadn't stopped Cavalcante. In a week after Cavalcante's escape in Pennsylvania, another manhunt was launched in Washington, D.C., for a homicide suspect that escaped from a hospital. The string of events have sparked questions around what went wrong and how easy it is to break out of U.S. prisons. The exact number of escapes is hard to quantify and likely undercounted since there is no central federal database. The Bureau of Justice Statistics, along with various state agencies, also does not differentiate between types of escapes. Most prison escapes are not like the dramatic scenes audiences may be picturing from Hollywood classics like The Shawshank Redemption or The Fugitive.
What I want out of each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, or doghouse in that area.
Most of the time, the escapes are known as AWOLs, or absent without leave. They are inmates who were already outside the facility, like in a transitional program, working in the community. If they miss a court date, walk off a work site for a certain amount of time, or don't report back to their facility in time, they may be counted in the numbers. A number of state agencies also do not differentiate between a prison breakout escape and an AWOL.
Put yourself in the position of the incarcerated individual, and there are issues that we deal with every day that have to be dealt with immediately, especially family or spousal issues. And I think a lot of them will that's the reason why they go.
While the numbers may not be closely accurate, the data available suggests an overall trend. Prison escapes seem to be declining over the past 2 decades. A big reason for that may be changes in technology, like perimeter detectors and motion detection.
The security procedures and the technology has gotten so much further advanced that we're able to do more surveillance and more visual of the inmate population with less staff because of the security cameras.
Community awareness can also be a helpful tool for law enforcement. Manhunts that spark national news have more potential witnesses and tips. One study from 2005 modeled how likely escapees were to be caught after being featured on America's Most Wanted. The study found the risk of apprehension was 7 times as great, and the manhunt likely to be shortened as well. But the only escapees that make the headlines are the rare cases with higher risk convicts, like Cavalcante, who was convicted of murder and reported to be armed.
The number of people that are recaptured, or the proportion of people that are recaptured, is well above 90%, probably pretty close to 100%. For those few cases where people are not recaptured, oftentimes it's because they're not posing a serious risk and there's not a national manhunt like what we saw in Pennsylvania. There's no reason to just be panicked about escapes as a general thing, right? So the escapes are not happening very often.
Escaping from prison is exceedingly difficult, and evading capture even more so. The recent high-profile incidents are a reminder that community vigilance can be helpful in cases of dangerous manhunts. But these cases are, thankfully, more rare than they might seem. Jamal Andrus, Scripps News.
The product of internal investigations, listening tours with judges and prosecutors, and there are also consultations with national experts.
You're watching kids in a stolen car try to get away from police. The scene captured by Sky Team 11, Baltimore's only news helicopter. According to Baltimore police, so far this year, 105 juveniles have been arrested for stealing cars. But according to a new report out by the State Department of Juvenile Services, overall, statewide, youth crime declined.
It's wrong to think that crime is just unadulterated up for young people in Maryland. It's not. It's down.
Sadly, the study finds the availability of guns has led to an increase in gun violence. In Baltimore, the report finds the number of young people shot and killed doubled from 2013 to 2022. Non-fatal shootings increased by 188.9%.
Young people are more likely to be victims of gun crimes than arrested for gun crimes.
The report finds incarceration is not the only or most effective way to address juvenile crime.
There's unacceptable racial disparities in incarceration and in victimization. Youth of color are incarcerated and victimized at rates far higher than their representation in the general population. And on the other hand, youth of color are getting the benefit of alternatives to incarceration like probation and diversion at lower rates than one would expect from their representation in the system.
To meet these challenges, DJS participated in Governor Moore's Safe Summer Initiative. The initiative provided $5 million to 12 Maryland counties impacted by high gun violence. DJS created youth engagement and safety strategy improvement teams. They work alongside prosecutors, law enforcement, community leaders, victims, and family members in Baltimore City and County. The goal is to find the best approaches to prevent gun violence. DJS has reduced idle time at youth detention facilities and introduced behavioral therapy and trauma-informed care. And they're launching the Thrive Academy,
which is focusing intensive and wraparound services on youth most at risk of gun violence in Baltimore City and Baltimore County.
Coincidentally, the DGS secretary will be meeting tomorrow with the House committee who will be discussing juvenile laws. The secretary says his only policy recommendation is to end automatically trying kids as adults. Reporting live from East Baltimore, David Collins, WBIL TV 11 News.
Effingham Fire Department is investigating a fire at the county jail. The flames were put out and confined to a mattress in a cell. Firefighters had to ventilate the jail because of smoke on the first floor. 2 inmates were examined by EMS workers. Fire crews were on scene for just under an hour. The cause is under investigation.